This is section 13.2, probability and odds. Cystic fibrosis is a serious inherited lung disorder that often causes death in victims during early childhood. Because the gene for this disease is recessive, two apparently healthy adults called carriers can have a child with the disease. We will denote the normal gene by a capital N and the cystic fibrosis gene by a lowercase c to indicate its recessive nature. So we need to construct a Punnett square to describe the genetic possibilities for a child that has one normal parent and one who is a carrier. All right, so the first parent is normal, so they are not a carrier, so they have two N's. The second parent is a carrier, so they have a normal gene and they have the cystic fibrosis gene. All right, so parent one, parent two, parent one, parent two, parent one, parent two, parent one, parent two. So what is the probability the child will have the disease? So in order for them to have the disease, they have to have the CC. If it's NC, they're just a carrier. Okay. So the probability the child has the disease is going to be 0. And just on a side note, what would be the probability they are normal, meaning they are not a carrier? That would be 2 out of 4, which would be 1/2 or 50%. And the probability the child is a carrier, that would be the NC combination. That would be 2 out of 4 or 1/2. These last two were just not part of the question. It was just a side note so you can see what's going on here. So in order for a child to actually have the disease, both the parents would have to be carriers. All right. So in crossbreeding certain plants, the scientists found that flower color does not dominate as happens with peas. For example, a plant with one green gene, lowercase g, and one yellow g, lowercase y, will have lime flowers denoted GY. Construct a Punnett square showing the results of crossing a lime plant with a purebred yellow plant. So lime, it's going to be GY, and yellow, pretend like I can write here, will be 2 Ys. So we have the lime and the yellow, lime and the yellow, the lime and the yellow, the lime and the yellow. All right, so what is the probability of getting green flowers in the first generation plants? So the probability of green would be GG. That's going to be 0. The probability of getting yellow, which would be YY, is 2 out of 4, or 1/2. The probability of lime, which is a GY combination, that is also 2 out of 4, or 1/2. So there's no way they could get green flowers. Now, if they were across the lime with a purebred green, then they would get lime and green, but they would not get any yellow. All right, now the odds, we're dealing with probability and odds. Probability students don't generally have too much of an issue with, it's the odds. So you may want to practice the odds problems a few more times, even if you get them correct. Okay. So the probability of Green Bay winning the Super Bowl is 0.35. So the probability they win is 0.35. So 35% chance they're going to win. So what would be the probability that they lose? It would be 65% or 0.65. So basically 1 minus the 0.35 That's how they get the 0.65. Okay. All right, so now we know the wins and the losses, the probabilities. Now we're going to talk about the odds. So what are the odds against Green Bay winning the Super Bowl? So against winning means what? The loss. So we need a ratio of lose to win. Okay. So probability they lose is 0.65. Probability they win is 0.35. Now we can't have it as decimals, so you're going to put this in your calculator like this. So you may want to make a note, calculator. And let the calculator do the work for you. Put what you want on top. Right, I don't know why it didn't. I don't know why it didn't convert it to fraction. Let's go number, approximate to fraction. So it's 13/7. What we want is on top, and that's against winning, so the losses. So that's 13/7. If it was the odds that they win, it would be flipped. It would be 0.35 to 0.65. So then it would be 7/13. So this order is very important here. Again, I would practice these odds questions a few extra times. It's the one that's missed the most on the exam, or at least when you go to do the review for the exam, spend a little extra time on those. If the odds against E are 7/9, what is the probability of E? So this one, they start off with the odds. Are 7/9. And it's the odds against event E. So we don't want E. So this is a ratio of not E to E. What is the probability of E? So that's going to be E over the total. E is 9, and the total will be 7 plus 9. You can put that in your calculator. I already know it doesn't reduce. Okay, so it's 9/16. Odd breaks up. It gives you a ratio of what you want to what you don't want, whereas probability is what you want over the total. So the odds breaks up the total. Okay. And let's just do another one. I'll just make one up. And if you're all right with it, you don't have to write this down. So the odds for event F are 12/7. What is the probability of F? So the odds for event F are 12/7. And since it says for event F, that means it's not a naught. So this is F. It's a 7. I'm sorry about that. So this ratio of F to not F. Now we want the probability of F, which is F over the total. So F is 12 over 12 plus 7. So that's going to be 12 over 19. And just be careful for the wording. This says for event F. This one says against event E. So this is how I labeled them. So I'm not lost as to what's going on. Suppose the probability that a certain team will will win a certain competition is 0.25. So the probability they win is 0.25. So the opposite of that, what we don't want is the probability they lose. So if there's a 25% chance they win, the probability they lose is going to be 75% or 0.75. What are the odds in favor of the team winning? So what they're asking for goes first. So we want a ratio of the wins to the losses. So that's 0.25, 0.75. And again, what we want's on top. And you can put that in your calculator. So let's do that. Just so we have a little extra practice. All right, it is not giving me the menu. When I do it like this, it's just telling me, oops, did not mean for that to be on the bottom. I'm telling the calculator to give me the answer as a fraction. So that's 1/3. Okay. So the odds in favor of the team winning are 1 to 3. So they win one game for every 3 that they lose. So what are the odds against the team winning? That we want a ratio of the losses to the wins. Probability they lose is 0.75. They win is 0.25. So let's put that in the calculator. Right. I keep forgetting to move outside of the fraction bar. All right, so it's 3. And how do you write 3 as a fraction? That's going to be 3/1. So against the team winning is 3-1. So they lose 3 games for every 1 that they win. So in favor or against, that is what you need to watch out for is the wording. It's very specific. I think that's it. Yep. And that's it for section 13.2.